And welcome out, Flightdeck, podcast dedicated to Montreal football, presented by our good friends over at Royal Retros, where you don't need a time machine in order to get some sweet, sweet throwback merch. Head over to royalretros.com and use the code Flightdeck at checkout, and you will save 10% off your entire order. I'm Tim Capper. You can find me on X or Blue Sky at Repact. That's REPPACT.
Was I'm Cliffy D. You can also find me on X and on Blue Sky over at Cliffy D.
Okay, here we go. Did not expect that one. There we go.
That's why I do it.
Don't need no auto tune. We just have to use a was a late 1990s reference on a commercial for an alcoholic beverage.
2000s actually. If you're
Was
ever
it?
like 2000, 2001, I think.
Is that when the WhatsApp movement started?
Yeah, and I think by 2002 it had officially become uncool. Hope those guys made money. I hope they made the money when they did because yeah, that fizzled fast.
Yeah, I know, dude. We all, both you and I know it's still referencing. It can't be as bad as these days, where all of a sudden I see these TikToks, where all of a sudden the guys they're being shot at a In and Out in the U.S. and they wait for the guy behind the counter to say, "Order 6-7 is up." I was like, "Oh my god!" Yes, I know. And anybody who I'm hoping people know about that, I don't get that meme. I don't get it at all. I don't get it at all. Anyways, hopefully the score one day won't be. Anyways, if you
Kids, stay
react,
off Tim's lawn.
yeah, if you reacted to me saying that number, congratulations. Send me a DM or send me something. I'm curious to know. Hey, people get us twice this week. Congratulations. Um, It was, if you haven't already, we need you to head back and listen to the conversation that we had with a Hall of Famer, Brian Chu. It was, we dedicated episodes we have had before, but this one was a completely dedicated episode to his career. And it was it was a fun interview. It really was, and I hope that everybody, if you haven't listened to it, please head back and go watch it either on audio or in full video form, and just take it into what his career was all about.
Absolutely, it was just such a treat. And of course, with this being a Hall of Fame induction week, we had to have Brian on to share his story and just what an adventure. I mean, I knew it was going to be good when we booked him, but I had no idea it was going to be that good. I mean, it exceeded all expectations, and yeah, just what a career, what a life he's had, and it's just absolutely incredible. And of course, we're very excited for him, uh, Jermaine Copeland, Javon Olafoye, also like these are the Alouette based members
Mm.
of the class of 2025. So excited for all those guys, but especially for Brian. So yeah, folks, if you haven't already, first of all, shame on you. But if you haven't, go check out the interview right now. Whether you listen to it, watch it on YouTube, what have you, make sure you check this out and show Brian the love too, man.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. And yes, I mean it does come on the heels of obviously it is a very busy week for us here at the Alouettes Flight Deck. Another, except it wasn't a session, a crying session for Flight Deck Live. And if you haven't seen that, go back and watch Flight Deck Live, the hour that we had talking about the win, and which we're going to talk about here a little bit more in detail if we can. But and it leads into a very it really does lead into a very big matchup this week versus the Toronto Argonauts. But you know, it's again, still got to take things week by week, I guess. And it, football is a funny thing, isn't it, Cliff? I mean, it really is. I mean, we go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows to the highest of highs. The whole thing this year with Davis Alexander, which led into I think we kind of expected with how the whole MBT situation was going at first, and then all of a sudden, all the time, the quarterbacks themselves and them going down and stuff like that, and I will admit, one thing I did not like, just seeing the coverage talking about the whole MBT thing and leading into the game this week. It was a post game thing. Was Pablo was talking he's from three down, and he was talking about how the Caleb Evans and James Morgan starts did not go very well, or that experiment didn't go very well. Well, my first thought was Caleb Evans didn't get a chance because he got hurt. So I didn't like how he had written that. Maybe it should have been modified. I don't know if you saw how he wrote about it this past week, but I mean, it. We understand the situation with James Morgan, but I will admit, a couple weeks ago, I mean, on Flight Deck Live, you and I were talking about how there should be a change. They tried from NBT, and I think it makes us wonder, Cliff. I mean, you look, with the Alouettes, winning this game, 48-31 over the CFL leading Saskatchewan Roughriders, makes me wonder what was the actual flip of the switch that got MBT going this week, because we've had these good weeks at practice type of thing, which I think I would hope everybody in football would just hate hearing that, especially if your team, drops one. I mean, really, but it plays a horrible game. But what do you think was that switch, though, Cliff? I mean, a week back, an extra week with these guys being back from the sixth game. Tyson Philpott being one of them as an example, Austin Mack. But did you? I don't. It was happy to see the MBT that we saw play in Edmonton, despite the record. Record aside. But man, this this game itself, the Alouettes, I think it just surprised everybody. I'm sure Coach Moss wouldn't say that, but I mean, I think it's just they were able to play a complete game in Saskatchewan.
They were, and to kind of go back to your question a little bit, like what caused like the switch to flip all of a sudden? Like all of a sudden now we got, and maybe I'm hoping it wasn't just for one game that we got a good version of McLeod Bethel Thompson. I hope that what we saw this past Saturday is what's going to stay as long as he's the starting quarterback for the Montreal Alouettes. Because again, we've seen the good McLeod Bethel Thompson, and we've seen the absolutely terrible McLeod Bethel Thompson. And quite frankly, if the Alouettes want to have any chance of ensuring a playoff run this year, we got to have the best version of McLeod Bethel Thompson out there on the field starting this Friday against the Toronto Argonauts. To me, I wish there was a simple answer of, oh, well, I just did this and boom, all of a sudden I'm not a terrible quarterback anymore. I don't think there's any, and no quarterback would ever admit to something like that either. So truthfully, though, I'm just pleased to see what we saw this past Saturday. And it was absolutely positively needed, especially after Toronto had won that very close game against the Edmonton Elks earlier in the day. Like the pressure was on at that point. And as I like to say, pressure does create diamonds. And maybe that's all it took. Maybe it was just something as simple as, oh crap, this team is literally right behind us. And if we don't get this win, I mean, we're not completely screwed, but we're really digging ourselves a hole here. I mean, they're already in a hole, losing 5 games in a row. If that went to 6, Tim, then, oh God, I mean, I do want to think about what the pundits and the experts and the talking heads would have even said about the Alouettes and just how, a terrible franchise they are and so on and so forth. But nope, MBT did what he had to do. He got the dub. Yes, he did have some great players coming back to help him out, and that's fantastic. But this victory was absolutely needed. It was when you talk about the statement wins, I think you can qualify this as a statement win for both McLeod Bethel Thompson and for the Montreal Alouettes. This was a win they absolutely had to have. And God willing, this is the start of the, I don't want to say comeback necessarily, but the reshifting of the paradigm to get back to the playoffs, to ensure that they are who they say they are, and just keep things going for when Davis Alexander does come back into the lineup, because you need everybody healthy for a good Grey Cup run. You need every single one of these players healthy. And seeing McLeod Bethel Thompson back and looking as well as he did this past Saturday, that was such a major boost of confidence for this team.
Well, I completely agree, and some things did come together. Obviously, with MBT was picking them apart, but it was an entire it was entire team effort, though. I mean, from despite having Travis Tice go down literally on the first play of the game, to Stevie Scott stepping in and just having an absolute great day. Um, it's again, the everything aligned. Despite the rain I guess we could say the first half rain, in Saskatchewan, everything just aligned well, and uh, Tyson Philpott has a career day. Um, yeah, and again, the Alouettes defense did what they normally do. They kept MBT upright. It's just a matter of maybe things did come together. I mean, finding out, you know, with the changes that had to be made because of the ratio. I mean, who would have thought? You had I guess you had the Shawns. The Shawns couldn't play last week because of the changes that they wanted to make on defense.
Mhm.
It was interesting. So obviously, when we see what's going to happen when we do talk about the game coming up this week versus Toronto, it'll be interesting to see what the depth chart shows, and will it mimic? Will it mimic what we saw this past week on this past week's roster? But again, we'll have to see. But
Well, it won't
it's
completely
just
because of a couple of the injuries that did take place during this past Saturday's game. But yeah, I think ultimately, you know, you go with what's working. And obviously, what the Alouettes put out this past Saturday worked. So I see no reason to make major changes other than the ones that are necessary due to injury. I mean, I think obviously I've said it before and say again, you got to ride the hot hand. And right now,
Mhm.
I know it's just one game. It's a very small sample size compared to what we've seen earlier this year from him. But MBT does right now have the hot hand. So you go with him. You go with Stevie Scott the third. You basically put out that same lineup that you did this past Saturday against Toronto, and just add to it and make it the best possible version that you can.
No, I actually I do agree with you on that one. It's um what were your thoughts on, because I mentioned on Flight Deck Live is that I texted you after Tice got hurt. Um, Thoughts on how well Stevie Scott was able to play. And again, remember we've seen throughout the year that Tice has been doing really well. It seems that the O line has been getting better, but man, did they step up. I mean, could that have been Tice throughout the game? It's very possible if he had not gotten hurt. But man, the O line just really stepped up. Not only, like I said, keeping MBT upright, allowing him to do what he did, and to get the running game going, but uh, any issues when you saw that Tice went down? And we'll talk about it here about we found out about Tice, but uh, any issues when one of those oh crap moments, or what was your thought when you first saw that Tice went down and that Scott was going to continue?
Well, obviously, especially with Sean Thomas Erlington already on the 6 game injured list, seeing Travis Tice go out the way he did is, yeah, definitely an oh crap moment for sure. But
Hmm.
like, okay, we've seen what Stevie Scott is able to do. Again, once again, a very small sample size of it last year and even into training camp this year. But okay, they saw enough in him to keep him going. And between him, Tice, and STE, it was enough to show Walter Fletcher the door. So I mean, he's got to be good. He's got to do something, right? So he
Yeah.
steps into the lineup and takes over for Tice. And not only did he not look out of place, he flourished. I mean, this O line definitely opened up some holes for him. The fact that MBT was, I think, very balanced with his attack, with his play, with the plays that were being called. Yeah, he threw lots of passes, got lots of yardage, lots of yak with his receivers, but he was able to hand off the rock to Stevie Scott, and every time he did, he made he made Stevie Scott made MBT look like $1,000,000 in doing so. Absolutely sensational. Great running, great downhill runner. I mean, he's a big boy, 6'1", 220 pounds. I mean, he's not afraid to lower his shoulder and drive, the ground and pound, as I like to call it, just to get those extra yards in. And if needed, we know he can turn on the jets. He didn't necessarily have to in this game, and he didn't get too many opportunities to really burn one out, but he was doing exactly what was needed of him. He kept getting first downs. He kept churning away and giving the Alouettes plenty of opportunities to extend drives and get into field goal range if need be, or open up a possibility for MBT to find somebody else that's open. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Stevie Scott did a fantastic job, and it was one that I think we knew deep down he could do it. It was just a matter of having that opportunity. It just sucks that it came at the cost of Travis Tice being out of the game, and as we've now learned, will be out for possibly a little bit longer than just a game or two.
Yeah, first, it's still hard to believe that this was the Alouettes' first rusher with over 100 yards this season, and look how many games we are into this season itself. So it
That in
hasn't been a
itself is
very
incredible.
Yeah, it hasn't been a very good year for rushing, obviously, for the Owls. Despite what seems to be the wealth, I mean, yes, we don't have a name player like some other teams do, but I mean, it's just a matter of, I guess, we're finding these diamonds in the rough. We have done that; it's just a matter of taking advantage of it. But it's like they've been trying to deal with rushing, passing the entire time, that they haven't been really be able to deal with the rushing game. But still, though, and as Cliff alluded to, it was mentioned in the this week's day one post practice the media availability that Travis Tice will be that they did some imaging, and that he will be quote unquote out for a little bit.
Mm.
Um, I don't know how similar it is to what Austin Mack had. So as we know, Mack was out for a little bit too after that game in Calgary.
Yeah.
So we'll see. The question is, are there enough games left that Tice will be able to be active before the end of the regular season? We'll see. So right now it is
Here's hoping.
Stevie Scott show.
It's the Stevie Scott show, and again, as we saw this past Saturday, the guy can do the job. Just give him the same opportunities that you gave him the week before, and now all of a sudden, opposing defensive coordinators are going to have to start game planning for him, because he's proven himself to be a very valuable weapon very early in his career here with Montreal Alouettes.
Yeah, that's for sure. On the other side, when it comes to receiving, as we were talking about, it was a career day for Tyson Philpott. Perfect on the day, 9 target receptions, 238 yards. First Alouettes wide receiver to have over 200 yards since Jermaine Copeland did in 2003.
Hall of
And
Famer
also Tyson,
Jermaine Copeland.
yeah, and also had been broken. So Tyson is now in the record books for the Alouettes. And again, I considering that what Tyson's gone through for the past couple of years too, Cliff, I was just so happy to see him finally break out and just had a hell of a game, despite well, no matter what. I'm sure some in Riders Nations will say, well, as you floated, by the way, and you weren't the only one, by the way, who floated this idea about, oh well, the Riders went ahead and sat their DBs down because they'd already clinched a playoff spot. Don't give me that garbage. You still got to do it. You still got to do it. And sure enough, it was done by MBT, and it was done by Tyson Philpott.
Yeah, what a game by Tyson Philpott. And again, this shouldn't come to a surprise to anybody. Truly, I mean, when Tyson Philpott's healthy, and unfortunately, he's been bitten by the injury bug a few times in his young career. But when he's on that field, there's simply no one better. I mean, he's on another level, and he showed it again against Saskatchewan. I mean, and again, MDT had to be thrilled to at least have that reassurance that, okay, I've got a top tier receiver in my lineup. I've got several top tier receivers in my lineup, really, but knowing that Tyson's out there, and there's a lot of times where he just hucked the ball in the air, and I don't know if it was just for a prayer or just taking a chance, and sure enough, Tyson would come down with it and just make magic happen, and it was just so beautiful to see. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, those 2 touchdown throws were pretty spectacular, but I still think about that 70-plus yard throw that he made where he absolutely dusted Crefella Exume, and the only way you could stop him was to commit a horse collar penalty. I mean, that just shows just on what another level that Tyson Philpott is. when he's healthy and extremely motivated, which surely he was, to be able to get back into this lineup and again win this game for the Montreal Alouettes. What a performance! And I don't think that'll be the last time you see him post ridiculous numbers like that and have multiple touchdown games. I mean, that's just wow. What more can you say about this guy? Just absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Macbeth was 20 of 26 on the night, 379 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And again, as you said, no sacks. It was, as I said, Tyson leading the team, obviously, by a long shot, but Charleston Rambo, a guy who has been very quiet over the really for this season is really quiet. He was second with 44 yards, and you had Austin Mack with 39, Tyler Snead with 34. And by the way, we have to at least mention that since we're talking about Tyler Snead, as the Alouettes seem to be doing over the past couple of years, the way that Danny Mack is working is that if you show that you are an integral part of this organization and you do things on a consistent basis, and considering what Tyler Snead has done for this team so far this year, with all the injuries that we've had at the wide receiver position, well deserved for him to be given a 2-year extension, and he will be with the Alouettes through the 2027 season.
Absolutely phenomenal, and I'm glad you mentioned that too. Like what he's been able to do this season. I mean, I would have to say if when we start thinking about, and we'll be starting to talk about this soon too, the CFL awards, like who the Alouettes nominees will be for all the categories. I mean, you take a look at most outstanding player, and it sounds crazy to say, but maybe not. Tyler Snead should definitely be in consideration for as the Alouettes nominee for most outstanding player. I mean, I had joked earlier this year that Davis Alexander got it pretty much had it sewn up, just in the 3 games that he played, and showing since he wasn't in the lineup how valuable he is. But it's not MVP. That's the thing, though. It's most outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And yes,
Mm-hmm.
every game that he's played in so far, Davis Alexander has been outstanding. But the thing is, he's only played in 4 games this year, whereas Tyler Snead has played in considerably more games and has done some pretty outstanding things. So, yeah, definitely well-deserved contract extension. I know a lot of Alouettes Nation is very excited because he's extremely popular with fans right now. And, yeah, so happy to see number 85 stick around for the next couple of years. You absolutely love to see it. And who else loves this? And speaking of Davis Alexander, he loves to see it as well because he and Tyler are roommates. So he don't got to worry about the rent being paid.
Yeah. Tyler currently does lead the team with 797 yards on 62 receptions, 3 touchdowns. And it's funny, just that one game for Phil Pott. Phil Pott's now second with 556. But having that type of game will do it for you. But again, well deserved. And I kind of I kind of like this, Cliff. I don't know what your thought is when it comes to this. Does it seem to be? It seems to be a normal thing or a thing since Danny Mack has been here and been our GM that if they can get a deal done, then they will show a player even during the regular season that you're well worth it, and they'll make these extensions in season and not have to wait. Because remember, he was going to be Snead was going to be a free agent come this February, and well, not anymore.
Absolutely, and yeah, we saw it last year with Austin Mack getting that extension. We even when Cody Fajardo won the Grey Cup for the Montreal Alouettes, extension. Davis Alexander, when they decided he's going to be the man, extension. Tyler Snead now, extension. Austin Mack, extension. I mean, again, keeping these core elements is so important, and Danny Mack realizes that, and that's exactly what he does. I mean, again, people like to give him the gears for this, that, and the other, but I mean, when we talk about real G's move in silence, that's exactly what Danny Mack does. I mean, he makes those moves almost out of nowhere. And just when you least expect it, bam, he drops it on you. And it's like, wow. Oh my. Okay, great. Like these are the kind of moves that help ensure that this to be a championship caliber team for years to come. Guys like Tyler Snead don't grow on trees. I mean, and again, was it 3 years ago? You didn't know this guy from a hole in the wall. You saw him in training camp. You're like, who's this little guy? What the hell's he doing? But look what he's accomplished in that time. He's done absolutely incredible things. He's helped this team win a Grey Cup, even scoring a touchdown in the Grey Cup, no less. I mean, he's done everything possible to help this Alouettes team succeed. And yeah, definitely deserves to be rewarded for it. And I'm very happy for him that he's been able to get that. And I just fully expect him now to, now he's got to live up to it. And I have no doubt in my mind that he will.
Yeah, for sure. Defense, by the way, too. Ty Beverett led the team with 10 overall tackles, but Ty also had a quarterback, the only quarterback sack of the game for both teams. He also had a forced fumble, but on top of that, too, you had Wesley Sutton and Kavian Ento with interceptions, and Marc-Antoine Duquois with that fumble recovery. So the defense, again, and as I said before, defense, I think the time of possession, I think was even, right? But it's how it was done. The defense really was not kept on the field all that much, despite having quick scoring drives, et cetera, et cetera. The defense looked pretty good for most of the game. Yes, the garbage time, the garbage points by Saskatchewan at the end of the game itself. But I mean, that was obvious with the Owls being up as many as they were. But still, it was still nice to see, and Kavian at the end of the game to basically, yoink that one away for the interception and to basically seal the game for the Owls.
Absolutely. And again, we've also talked about Lorenzo Burns, how well he's been playing over the past few weeks. And this past Saturday, too, it was just playing nasty football, just, intimidating, nasty football from him. And that's what you want to see. Like guys like him, Ento, Sutton, like those are the guys, like those are your core elements on defense right there. Like those are the guys that are expected to be playmakers, and they are playmakers. And again, proof positive was exactly what you saw this past Saturday night. I mean, listen, as far as this defense goes, I think they remembered who the F they were. And it, once again, could not have come at a better time. And the fact that they were able to get some rest, they weren't on the field for like 3/4 of the game, sucking wind in the fourth quarter. Again, that's the beauty of MBT and this offense, getting it figured out and extending drives and keeping the Riders defense on the field and keeping Trevor Harris on the sidelines. Those were key elements that really, when you talk about what led to this victory for the Montreal Alouettes, it's a balance of everything. Offense was clicking, defense was clicking, special teams was pretty good too. Aside from, if you're going to look for a fault, if you will, I mean, the doink by Jose Maltos was not great, but he did score other points. So I mean, we can't be too mad about that. These things happen. Yeah. So I mean, overall, this Alouettes team really showed who they were this past Saturday, and that's great. But they got to keep that going. They got to keep that momentum going, and they got to reestablish themselves yet again. Like again, the goal should be go 1-0 every week. Well, you went 1-0 last week. Now you got to go 1-0 this week.
Yeah, Alouettes had 530 yards of total offense, Cliff. And listen to this stat. The Alouettes on first down generated 407. God.
I don't know what's
crazy.
I don't know what's more incredible, that or that we saw a thick six by the Alouettes. Something we hadn't seen since 2018, which is even more remarkable. I mean, this game had everything when you think about it. It had doinks. It had thick sixes. It had Tyson Philpott just going dummy all over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I mean, this was a show for the ages, practically.
Yeah, and I will admit, there were still some, and we'll move on and talk about the game coming up. There were obviously, with this still being such a good game that it was, there were still some concerning stuff. For as it has been throughout the entire season, Cliff, the Alouettes are just utterly stagnant in that third quarter. Coming in as of this game, Cliff. The Owls have only scored 46 points in the third quarter. That puts them, that they're tied with Edmonton for 7th for points in the third quarter. That's not gonna. What's even funnier, Winnipeg's last. By the way, Winnipeg is last in the third quarter. and everything seems to be going okay. We are the fourth fewest two and outs, et cetera, and that's gotten better as we saw. The second down conversion was good this week. It was 50% this week.
Mhm.
Uh, Again, it's just have a perfect game. This was almost perfect. It's funny to say that, considering how well Tyson did and how MBT did and the running game did, that it wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect.
Nor is giving up 31 points. Like sometimes giving up 31 points that's automatic loss, but not if you put up 48 points.
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
turned out to be a shootout, which is incredible to think. But because I figured, okay, I didn't know. Well, to be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect when it came to this game. I mean, especially since they got the Riders manhandled the Alouettes here in Montreal a few
Mhm.
weeks ago, and you're facing that same quarterback, and one can't help think, worst case scenario, what's going to happen, like what could possibly happen, but instead we get the exact opposite, which again I'm not mad about, but it just goes to show this Canadian Football League, you just week to week, sometimes you just don't know what to expect, and you just got to play the game, forget all the everything that's written about it, on paper it looks like this, it looks like that, forget all that too. You just got to play the game, watch the game, play the game, enjoy the game, and it is what it is sometimes.
That I agree with you, and I don't think everybody expected Jake Mayer to do what he did, but I mean, I think once we saw that and the Owls started doing prevent, I think we kind of we kind of knew. But either way, the Owls do win. They snap their losing streak, are now 6-7 on the season, and are 2 points up on the Toronto Argonauts, which they are going to be playing this week. But before we talk about the matchup itself, don't forget that we are on social media. You can find us almost anywhere, any of the podcast aggregates. You can find us. Find the show there. But also, you can go to the entire history of the show itself by going over to www.alouettesflightdeck.ca. All the interviews that we've done with current players, former players, Hall of Famers, which we've done many a show on those. They're all there. We're also on X or Blue Sky over at Alouettes FL Deck, over at Facebook over at Alouettes Flight Deck Pod, and Instagram and YouTube over at Alouettes Flight Deck. Speaking of YouTube, you can also find the audio version, the full broadcast version of the Alouettes Flight Deck podcast, and you can also find our post-game show, Flight Deck Live. And that is every single Alouettes game, no matter if it's on at home or on the road, you will see our mugs post-game to talk about the game, whether it be good, bad, or ugly. Also, merch, yeah, we have it. You can find it. It's over at flightdeckgear.ca, whether it be part of the merchandise from our If You Know You Know line, or if you're just looking to rep the logo of the podcast itself, it is there. And don't forget, once again, our presenting sponsor of Royal Retros, where if you go to royalretros.com and use the code FlightDeck at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order. So Toronto, it's funny. No surprises when it comes to who won't be starting, because we did find out today that Nick Arbuckle will not be starting for the Toronto Argonauts after having I guess we could say it's a leg injury for him too this week. Um, but I don't think Alouettes Nation in any way should get complacent just because it is another quarterback. Because as we've seen before in the history of the Alouettes kind of have had not necessarily a recent history, but a history of giving nobody. Careful what you say there, Capper. Potentially quarterbacks that nobody knows about, giving them their first CFL win. That's one of the things that the Alouettes probably want to try to avoid this week when it comes to Toronto, despite leading the season series already or winning the season series already. But it's also that thing too. They're only 2 points up on Toronto, and we still have to worry about that Western crossover.
Absolutely. And yeah, I had mentioned it too on Flight Deck Live that Nick Arbuckle did not look good and couldn't finish the game even. So like that made me wonder, okay, well, if he can't go, I mean, does that mean Chad Kelly is back into the fold? Nope, apparently not. So right now, for arguably the biggest game at this point in the season for both the Alouettes and the Argonauts, Toronto is going to have to rely on Jarrett Dagey to lead them to victory. And he did have a decent game-winning drive, essentially. He came in
Mm-hmm.
relief and basically got the Argos into Lirim Hairolahu field goal range for them to win a buzzer beater. That's great. I mean, that's kudos to him for doing that. But there's a big difference between a one drive and an entire 4-quarter game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that Jared Diggy can't get the job done. I'm sure the Argos are very confident that he can get the job done. Otherwise, he wouldn't be dressed and taking the reps. But he is going to be facing that same Alouettes defense that humbled the Saskatchewan Roughriders, that refound their form, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be this game is very important for both teams. I mean, you said it. The Alouettes did win the season series. That's great. If they can get the sweep, even better, because all that's going to do is just put that much more of a cushion between themselves and the Argos when it comes to second place in the division. I'm not saying first place is out of reach for the Alouettes or even for the Argos for that matter, but at this point, both teams need to be winning and hope that Hamilton starts to falter a little bit. But in case not, then ultimately it's going to be second place that's going to be the most important prize for both these teams, because there's a very good chance that a Western team is going to cross over and take that third spot, which means that they would be playing in the Eastern semifinal, which would be hosted by, at this point, either the Alouettes, or if Toronto can get it figured out and surpass the Alouettes, then they'd be hosting the Eastern semifinal. Key right now, though, is you want to be hosting the Eastern semifinal. So, and if you can find a way to get more points and just try to keep pace with these teams in the Western crossover, which, as it stands right now, might be easier said than done. It's going to be for some very entertaining football over the next few weeks. But this game definitely looms large for both teams. I mean, Montreal right now has got great momentum. Toronto, again, even when you think the chips are down with these guys, they find ways to win. And yeah, I think losing Nick Arbuckle is gonna hurt. But maybe this is an opportunity for Jared Diggy to show that, hey, I can do this too. So we'll see what happens on Friday night. It's going to be a very interesting game, no matter what.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's just, you look at it. The Owls are, and I'm trying to remember the last time. People can correct me, but the Owls are actually favored in Toronto by 6.5 points. In Toronto by 6.5 points.
Actually, I think over the weekend it was initially listed as a pick'em. Mm-hmm. I think that was before the Nick Arbuckle news dropped. And yeah, now all of a sudden, I guess the sports books have no faith in Jared Diggy, but we shall see. But yeah, I especially too with how well MBT played. Again, I'm happy about that. And again, I still maintain it's one game though. I before I get too excited, I want to see him do that again and again.
Yeah.
And then at that point, then I'll feel like, okay, we truly have the MBT that we were supposed to have. Because unfortunately, and again, just being honest with what it is, yes, he's won 2 games, but he's lost 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, and yes, a couple of those games were kind of out of his hands, but I mean, at the end of the day, people are going to look at the quarterback. When the team wins, the quarterback's hailed as a hero. When the team loses, they're the first ones to get the goat's horns. So,
yeah,
my hope is the same MBT that played like his hair is on fire in Saskatchewan. I hope we see him at BMO Field on Friday. If we do, then the Montreal Alouettes have a very, very good chance of sweeping the season series versus the Argos, putting just a little bit more cushion on that second place lead. And from that point on, I think truly the sky is the limit. Like, I mean, if this team wants to run the table and try to equal that 2023 record of 11-7, they've got to win out. And another victory will certainly help that cause and put this team even Steven again.
And this is the time to we think about Toronto. They were in this game, Cliff, and they still won this game despite losing the turnover battle by 5. I mean, the Owls have done it. The Owls that have won games, I actually think it was the rain game with Tanner Marsh that I think they were a plus, they were a -3 or minus, yeah, I think they were a -3 or something like that in that game and won. Man,
And I think
it, it, it
I think it was also I want to say the 2016 home opener against Winnipeg. I think they too won turnover battle and
okay.
still got their butt handed to them. I mean, it's at the end of the day, you got to put points on the board. I mean, and again, if you get all those turnovers and all you get out of them are, 2 and outs, or if you're lucky, field goals, there's it's not going to help your cause. I mean, if you could turn
No,
those into honest to goodness points like touchdowns, great. But ultimately, yeah, you winning the turnover battle is great, but it's the actual win that counts more than anything else.
yeah, exactly. And talking about it too, I'm trying to remember the last time. I mean, the Owls have swept a season series before with Toronto. Obviously, like a 2-game series and stuff like that. I just cannot remember the last time if it does occur, that the Alouettes have swept uh, a regular season versus Toronto. Just found it. 2011 was the last time that they won a 3-game season series versus Toronto Argonauts
Mm.
in the regular season. So they got to be careful. They got to be careful. The game, as it's funny, two games in a row that really do mean something. It's true, but again, I just want to make sure. We've seen it before in the past. All these different trap games where Owls have gone into a place or come played at home, and it's a game that they should have won but didn't for some particular reason. The Owls that's one thing that I think that I would hope that Coach Moss is telling his players is that do not allow this game to become a trap game. This game is a lot more important, despite Toronto not having their starting quarterback under center this week.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of Saskatchewan folks would suggest that the game last Saturday was a trap game for them because all indications were that this should have been an easy W for the Riders, and look what happened. They got they got the tables turned on them. So that could just as easily happen to Montreal this Friday if they're not paying
Mm-hmm.
attention, if they're not careful. But I think the way that Jason Moss has these guys prepared and the way this locker room is, and I think they understand the assignment. I'm convinced they know what they need to do. They've got a game plan. They know what's ahead of them potentially. So I don't see them walking into the BMO field thinking that they've got this, or this is going to be a cakewalk, because especially since there's no Nick Arbuckle or Chad Kelly. I think they realize that Toronto still has quite a few other weapons on this team, and
Yeah.
they're kind of in that same position the Alouettes were. The pressure's on, their backs are against the wall, and they're going to have to come out swinging. So I think it's going to make for a very entertaining football game on Friday, but. I mean, I think Montreal knows what they have to do. Toronto obviously knows what they have to do. So
Yeah.
it's going to be who can execute better, who can set the tone early. I think whoever sets the tone early, offensively, that's who's going to win this game. I mean, and just keep it consistent, because both these defenses can do pretty amazing things. But right now, I think offense is what's going to be key. I mean, if MBT truly is back and we're going to see that same MBT again that we saw in Saskatchewan, then yeah, I
Mhm.
definitely like Montreal's chances. But at the end of the day, you still have to go out and execute. You have to make those plays happen. And if they can do that and get the W, then we'll officially be on a winning streak, Tim, again.
Yeah, I know. And I will say this, let's get the win this week. I understand Toronto's at 10 points, but you know what? From there on, let's get Montreal get the win. Let Toronto do what they need to do for the rest of the regular season, and let's stop that dreaded Western team coming over to the East. You know what I mean? So it's been a weird year. It really has. I mean, and we're not done yet. Uh, we let's stop this let's stop this West crossover. Come on, but just starting next week. Just just starting next week.
Yeah, yeah. After that, then all bets are off. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Any other things that you want to talk about? I said we know we have the Hall of Fame ceremony this week. Um, one thing I do want to mention is a long-time season ticket holders. You probably already did receive your notification from the team about season 2026 season tickets are now available to purchase. I'm trying to get some information from the team because I don't know. Like in the past years, when we have the president on, the Al's president, we usually get a little bit more information about the season tickets and when it comes to percentages, et cetera, like that. I'm still reaching out to the team for some more information, but I can say, at least for us, Cliff, in our current section, our seats were increased by 4.99% for the 2026 season. So
Yeah.
that does not
So
encompass what
whole
everybody got. Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say, so are we paying for Tyler Snead's extension?
Well, considering the prices were already met, wait a minute.
I don't know.
We get our
Tyler,
increase. We get our increase, and then Tyler gets signed again.
maybe that's it. Maybe it's that confidence knowing, okay, these chumps are gonna obviously re-up their tickets. So all right, let's Tyler, here you go, buddy.
Yeah. So
So
again,
Tyler, if you're listening to this podcast, Tyler, you're welcome. How's that?
yeah, trying to get some more information. Once we do get it, we'll pass it along to you. As I said, it's not indicative as we've seen before in years past. A section can be at 5% or whatever it is, but it's not indicative for what it is across the board, across the league, because it's kind of misleading. You really can't do 26 versus 25 now because of the way the prices are. Early bird special is 30%. Currently on the website for the Owls for 2025, it's listed as 20, what it is at 25%. So I'll leave it at that. You really can't do apples and oranges this way because it doesn't really mesh for an 11 game package is what we currently have. But um, uh, are you? As I said, one last thing before we go, Cliff. It being Hall of Fame weekend, is it one of those years where? Because I don't know what your viewing habits are when it comes to the Hall of Fame stuff. Do you usually watch it more when there are Alouettes being inducted, or do you like you do? Because I know you love the draft. Are you the same way when it comes to the draft, or do you you're not as high when it comes to the CFL ceremony for the Hall of Fame because maybe an Alouette is not in it versus when an Alouette is in it?
I'll definitely pay more attention when there's an Alouette being nominated. I mean, I like anything else. I keep tabs on everything throughout the league as much as I can, but without question, I'm definitely more interested when I know that there's at least one member of the Alouettes organization getting honored. I mean, it's especially if it's a player who I watched growing up, sort of thing, or watched become a superstar in the time that it's been since I've been watching this Alouettes team since 1996. So I mean, it's to me, I'm always excited to see that. Like I said, this year it's Brian Chew that is going in. Definitely, as long as this team has been around, he's been a part of it. It's remarkable, and other players in the past as well. Definitely I'm excited and proud of them for doing amazing things. Because let's face it, this Alouettes team, since they came back, there's been more good times than bad times. And yeah, when you're a player, you go through all of them. It's never completely good times only. I mean, you're going to go through some lousy times as well. It's how you play in those lousy times that I think is what makes truly a Hall of Fame career. Best example is Brian Chew. Yeah, for the most part, during his time with the Alouettes, they were very successful. They'd be going to Grey Cups, but they didn't always win the Grey Cups. And it's in dealing with those losses that motivates you for the next year and so on. When I see like an SJ Green, he was there for some of the good times too, but he was also there for a lot of the bad times. Same idea though. Like it's what motivates you, what encourages you to do better and to be better and to get through those bad times. It's when I think of a lot of these players, I definitely want to see them. I want to celebrate them, and I truly am happy for them if they get that call, because let's face it, lots of people have played in the Canadian Football League, but very few truly do make it into the Hall of Fame. So it's not nothing. I mean, it is definitely something that has to be celebrated. It's a great accomplishment. And yeah, I'm happy for everybody who makes it. I mean, again, if just with so few people truly being in the Hall of Fame, everyone is in there for a good reason. So, but admittedly, yeah, I'm a little more excited, and I pay a little bit more attention when I see that it's a member of the Alouettes that's going into the Hall.
For sure. And the game The ceremony will be on Friday, the 19th. By the way, I had no clue for how much the gala was until I just looked at the prices here. Interesting. Um, but it's obviously, you can say you've been to a gala once. You know what I mean? If you do decide to go. And we would imagine it's going to be streamed online. I haven't seen anything yet. And it's usually a big deal, a big to do about the game in Hamilton. And then they're not promoting it as the Hall of Fame game. At least I haven't seen that. But obviously, they will make a big deal out of it for the game. It is the final game of the week on the CFL schedule this week because that is the late game on Saturday. Well, late game, the last game on Saturday.
Yeah, no, that's it. So yeah, I mean, folks, especially if you're in the Hamilton area and you kind of on the fence, maybe even if you're not a Tiger Cats fan or an Elks fan, if you happen to be in Hamilton, like an Elks fan in Hamilton, again, if you have a chance, definitely go and pay homage to a lot of these great football players. I mean, as I said, there's quite a few good ones going in, and the builders and others that are involved in as well. And then later this year, the media members are going into the Hall of Fame as well. They'll be celebrated too, so that's also very cool. So, yeah, definitely, it's just a great way to celebrate the history of this league, and basically salute those that came before. So it's if you're kind of on the fence about should I go or shouldn't I go, you should go. Definitely go.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And again, to plug ourselves, if you haven't seen it already, make sure you go back and you check out our special episode, our special Hall of Fame episode with Hall of Famer Brian Chu. It was it was a golden 75-minute chat that we had with him. Don't let the time uh, 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 fool you in any way. You'll never know it was 75 minutes
Well, they'll
talking to
know
this
now because you
gentleman.
just told them.
Well, no, it's not that meaning that it's not one of those things where you're looking at your watch saying, "Oh my God." It's one of those it's one of those conversations, Cliff, where all honesty, from us doing it, it was a matter of that was 75 minutes. I never would have known because we got so many stories galore and got to hear about his history and like you and I normally do, we bring up questions that they say, "That's a good question. I don't know if I have an answer to that one." So,
Well, that's it. Listen, well, that's the thing, folks. We want to tell all of these stories as much as we can, and when we have opportunities to do that, you better believe we're going to take full advantage of it. And again, we are so thankful we had that opportunity to talk with Brian and give him the chance to share his story. And if we had just a small part in helping him do so, believe me, I know I'm honored to do so. I'm fairly
mhm.
confident you are as well, Tim.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Stay tuned for us on Flight Deck Live with the game. It's a 7 o'clock start. So, like last week, anywhere between, unless the game limit runs long, and we'll let you guys know if it does. But stay tuned for our socials. We should be online anywhere between 10 to 10:15. But again, stay tuned for our socials, and we will talk post game about the Alouettes Argos matchup.
Or
Uh,
better yet, hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Hit the like button. If you're following us on X or on Facebook, make sure you are following. Make sure you hit that notification button so that when we do go live, whatever time it may be, you'll be notified and you will not miss a thing.
exactly, exactly. So again, big matchup versus the Argos this Friday as the Alouettes try to continue their winning ways and get one step closer. It is with a win, one step closer to hopefully clinching that playoff spot in the CF for the CFL playoffs. Again, we will see you guys post game, but if not, we will see you on the show next week. So for the last time here at the Alouettes Flight Deck for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on Final Approach.